G'day and welcome back to my channel. It's been a few weeks now since I got back from my trip across Australia from Brisbane to Perth, and I finally found my way back into the workshop. What I thought I would do is some dash repairs, so let me explain what that means. Okay, so this is the instrument cluster for the BMW. There was a number of things that went wrong on the trip home, not least of which was I didn't have instrument lights. So that was obviously problematic. This indicator, so you can get a bit more light on there. So the idiot light for the turn signal, that also was out. The other lights were working, so that was a bit strange. These are the other two gauges. So this is the clock. I had to remove the clock because it lost one of these. I've since been down to the club and picked up a couple of those. I've also picked up a bulb holder. That also disappeared. And I've worked out the mystery why the voltmeter gauge also isn't illuminated, and that's because it's here disconnected from its wire. It also was missing one of these, hence me getting two of them from the club. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this thing called KATDASH. So it's an LED solution. Now I did some diagnosis, which I'm about to show you. I'll just zoom back out. So I'm not going to show you how the speedo comes apart. It's just a bunch of screws. We'll get you the back cover off, and then there's this other cover here that comes off. Now, immediately obvious is this circuit board here, if it can be called that. These contacts here are for a bulb holder. It's missing a whole bunch of that, and that was soldered to the bulb holder. And the contact obviously wasn't great. So with that diagnosis, I was looking for a solution to replace this circuit board, and a fairly, I think, canny solution is a new LED one here. So I'm going to set up in the stand and do a bit of an unboxing. Okay, so in this box of tricks, that I believe is the LED component, there's a bag of gaskets. You can see here on the back of the instrument cluster there's a provision for a gasket here. It's got somewhat of a gasket there, but it's not in great condition. Bit of a crack here, which seems stable, so I think I'm going to leave well enough alone on that. And so that's the gasket set, O-rings and gaskets. I also have two LED bulbs which I bought separately from the same company. Let's see if we can pull one out. So these are small LED globes replacing these ones. So that will just slip out and replace that. So we'll do that later. Let's see what's in here. Okay. So that is clearly a replacement for that. Obviously it goes that way though. We get a paddle pop stick with it, which is excellent. So yeah, so it's really 3 screws. So 1, 2, 3. So I'll get on with that. That one was loose, incidentally. So I don't know whether it's stripped or loose. It feels stripped. All right. 3 wires on here. Brown, green, red in that order, top to bottom. Okay, so that's the component out. Yeah, the screw, what would you call it? The bit that goes in the plastic here has come out, so I'm going to have to glue that back in. All right. I'll need to do that actually now. Bring you back when I've done that. Okay, so I love playing around with this super glue. I'm going to actually screw that screw back in a little bit, so I can get that in there. Alright, take the screw out. I don't want to super glue the screw in, which is what will certainly happen. Right, not sure whether you can see that, but that's now glued in. Okay, while that's drying, I'm not going to muck around here with time. Ideally I'll get that screw back in again before it's had a chance to dry. Okay, so what did we say? Brown, green, red, top to bottom. A little bit of a fight going on here. Oh, there we go. Feels good. Yeah, I don't want to over tighten, because that will pull out. Yeah, we can't have this working loose either. So where does that leave us? Okay, that's pretty straightforward, I think. Let's see what these gaskets are. Right, so we've got a big long one here that would appear to go in there. One, two, three, four, 5 screws. That was loose. Yeah, the missus coming home. Hello, Claire. Got to do her headlight as well. I might have to actually prioritise that over doing this. She needs her car. And it's an Alfa Romeo Giulietta 2012, and I thought it would be a straightforward job replacing bulbs and headlights. Yeah, how I was wrong. I started doing it the traditional way. You know, taking the plug off the back. And this isn't playing. Okay, so I don't need to take them all the way out. I'll just pull it up a bit to replace that gasket. But this one here is just turning. Yeah, back to this headlight. Yeah, so there was a couple of YouTube clips on taking the headlights out completely, which means taking the front bumper off, wheel liners, battery, whole bunch of different jobs, and I thought I'll just do it without doing that. And unfortunately I dropped the bulb into the back of the headlight, so now I've got to take a headlight out. So that's what I'm going to go and do. I'll fix this up later. We got dogs going off a whole lot. Okay, resuming the action. So got that headlight all sorted out. I'll chuck a couple of photos up in the clip to show you what I was contending with. Yeah, I had to remove the entire headlight assembly. Alright, so where we're at is I was removing this screw here that was stuck, and it's done the same thing as the other side, so it's pulled out of the plastic. So I'm going to do the same thing with the super glue on that one. I also note, and I don't know if you can see it in there, the drive for the odometer takes some grease. The grease looks a bit dry, so I'll just put a little dab of grease on there as well. Okay, so just need the trusted super glue again. Which is that. Okay. Get my grease first. I think it's just behind me again. Oh, you even have an applicator. Just putting it on the worm drive here. It'll not going to overdo it. Okay, before I get into the super glue, I'll just see what needs to come out for this gasket. Okay, so this is the bottom of the speedometer, so obviously that's where the junction is going to be, something like that. Yep. How does it go in? That's a good question. It sort of holds it in. So these little tabs, what I'm using to hold the gasket in. Get super glue ready, I think, because that little bit's got to get glued in. Let's get this screw out. I might need a magnet. Okay, which I do have right beside me. Got this whole pile of neodymium magnets. They're super convenient. So this is what we got here on this side. That screw in there. Click. Alright, super glue. Just see if any comes out. Oh yeah. Let's see if I can get you in. So this is the problem in here. Get some on the piece, which I did a bit prematurely. Because it's good to have the screw in the piece, which is what I'll just helps me guide it in there. Oh. Still a bit of interference, which bodes well. So I'm going to take that out. And there's a bit of a rush on here, as per the previous one. There is a risk that the super glue will glue the screw in, as in it won't turn. So we're gonna need that again. I wonder if I can't sort of clamp that in. Yeah, it's fighting. No, it's not going to work. In actual fact, I'm going to try something here. Could be controversial. I could snap something. I've got some vice grip. Some vice grips here. What I'm trying to achieve, I'm not sure if you can see that, this is cracked. So, and it's sprung away. And I've put the glue in there now. I just wonder if I can get some vice grips in and kind of clamp it together without making it worse. Too loose. Too tight. There we go. Alright, so that's what we got going on there. I'm not going to leave that for too long. See if that's done anything. Yep, that looks pretty decent. Hasn't sprung back out, so the glue's holding there at the moment. We'll get the rest of this back in. Wow. Come on, little fighter. Facing me, sorry folks. We're got a little bit of excess length, but I'm going to, I'll screw this in first. Whoops, been leaking. And once it's screwed in, I'll trim. Right. Screw. We'll go for the super glued one first, which is this one. Oh. What's next? Let's pack this glue away. Next is the back cover. So that is this piece. Is this next? No. This bit's next. And we've already a couple of screws left in there. Out and Loctite them. Okay, before that, I've got these two gaskets here. There's the remnants of one here. Presumably the hole has to line up first, which is what we'll do. Hey Jake, you were barking out there, were you? What were you barking at? Oh, get down off me. You hit the remote control in my pocket. So now we've got the garage doors going up. Alright. Okay, that worked well. Just lined the hole up first and then went out from there to both corners. And that forms a gasket. And that's looking pretty decent. And selfishly, I'm going to turn it around so I can screw it in properly. Yeah, with all the comings and goings of construction, it's a bit of a nightmare with the dog every so often, rounding him up. What I've been doing is putting him away. Gonna have to probably do that again. No one needs to hear my dog barking. Our dog barking. In. Looking good. I'm supposing these are upside down at the moment. You need the little shady bit. The music playing in the background, awesome. I'm tempted to finish getting the back on before I go and trial it out. Bit of Lincoln Park, I think. Phillips head. Right behind me again. Oh, let's just pack that away. All right, I'm going to plug it in and bring you back, or bring you over. Turns out, got my parkers on. I actually was able to find the fuse in behind there that was blown. So yeah, I got parkers and that's all G. Oh look. Ooh, lovely. Now let's put super bright, awesome, and indicator. That's great. I can tell you where I've screwed up. And I'm not happy with that. There's some dust in there, and this is residue from super glue on the inside. That's a screw up. I'll have to get it apart and clean that off. Best do it now before the Loctite sets. All right, I'm going to stop there and bring back once the other LEDs are in. Okay, we're in full teardown mode. Happy to report that BMW quality extends to glass lenses. So they've cleaned up beautifully. So really, they're looking great. There's no, there's a bit of dust on there, we'll get those off. But no super glue fumes. And everything came apart okay, so it's just going to all go back together. But yeah, that's not looking bad at all. I'll use a microfiber cloth to clean those and get everything back together again. Fresh Loctite, and actually it's all still pretty wet, so I might just screw it all back in. But there you go, I thought you'd enjoy that. I was a bit apprehensive. I thought these would be polycarbonate, and that would be a bit tricky to get the that vapor of superglue off. But as it turned out well. Happy days. All right, back together, and they are looking sweet. So yeah, no issues putting back together again. Yeah, really happy with how that's gone. I'm going to get it all back on the bike. The next job, apart from putting that back on, is these gauges. Now I have been torn, you can see how worn the paint is there. Do I just put them back in as is? Yeah, no, I can't do that. So I'm going to, I've got some etch primer here. I'll just etch prime them, hit them with a bit of satin black. The volt gauge is the same. And depending on, yeah, we got dirt inside them as well. I don't think I can crack into them very easily though. They're crimped. So that is what it is. Get onto it. Okay, we've still got the loud music going next door. Hopefully I won't get a copyright strike as a result. Just sort of bring you in at this point. What I've got is, I've got the gauge. This is where the keys have been rubbing up against. Got my favourite attachment for the Dremel tool, which it starts life as a fairly pointy wire brush, but as you use it more, it turns into a point of a wire brush. And what I'm just doing here, hopefully you can see this, is without going too fast, just getting inside the bezel here and just getting all that paint off carefully without touching the glass. And as you can see, it's very effective. It doesn't take long at all to get that off. So I'll go all the way around and make sure all that paint's off so that I can get a decent finish. You don't want to leave half the paint on unless you can smooth it. Trouble with this location on the bezel is you just can't get a smooth finish without scratching the lens. With sandpaper, it's just really too risky. And as you can see, this is quick and easy. Not revving the guts out of the Dremel either, just keeping it fairly slow. So yeah, so I'll bring you back when I'm all masked up and ready to paint, I think. Okay, so this is the product after I've taken the paint off. You can see the bezel there is a little bit rough where the keys have been hitting it. I've taken that back as much as I really want to. There's a similar kind of feature on this one. But yeah, it's all off and looking good, mask up, and get some etch primer on there. Okay, so just a quick note on masking up. Now it's fairly counterintuitive. I did a bit of trial and error. First try was just to apply parallel pieces of tape and then try and cut neatly around the edge of the bezel. But as it turned out, started with one piece running down or across, doesn't really matter, but then literally cut up to the bezel from here just to there on both sides. So then that was one piece, and then I crisscrossed with another piece, did the exact same, leaving with a cross. And now this is just the diagonal piece, so it probably looked more like that. I've done one diagonal here, and as you can see, it allows you to cut right in against the corner of that bezel, whereas I wasn't getting a straight line when I was trying to just cut around a corner. It just wasn't working. So yeah, I think that's a easier way. It takes a little bit more time, but better result. Okay, sit rep. The painting is finished, and if you can see that it looks pretty decent. No real issues there. I've also been working on these illumination of the instruments. Let me just, okay. So what we've got here is the new LEDs in the little bulb holders. These are the old bulbs that came out. They were blown anyway, blown but also disconnected, so this has had to be resoldered, and that's just a bit of heat shrink on there. And over at the bike, I'll show you this one first. So yeah, looking good. Done equivalent on both, so they've both got new bulbs. Over at the bike, yeah, I got all the bike back together again, actually, headlight, etc. I need to discover that the bulb was blown, so I've got to get a new bulb. But these are the wires that broke off, so I've put connectors on them. Not the best connectors to use, but at least they'll be completely shielded. I think what popped the fuse, instruments, taillight, etc., was that once this had broken off, it was able to make contact with the body of the instrument and therefore earth out and short circuit. So yeah, I pulled these back through this way and put connectors on them, ready to go. I haven't washed the bike since the trip, and you can note that I've got a crack that runs through the dashboard. I've ordered a second-hand dash from Europe, which is on its way, so that will be a bit of a job. I don't really know how to undo these, but getting a new dash on that is important to me. So yeah, all that's remaining is getting these gauges, gauges back in, and I won't. What I will do is I'll just put them in the dash, because I'm replacing the dash. I'm not going to, you know, Loctite the brackets on the back. This is the faulty bulb, which I knew one of those as well. But I'll get them in and then show you the overall, which hopefully is pretty impressive. In actual fact, I've got 12 volts here. I can set you up and show you what the illumination looks like. Okay, so this is what new illumination looks like. Looks pretty decent, eh? So happy with that, yeah. We'll get it back in and show you in situ. Okay, so I got one in okay. This one, however, was badly snapped when I had to solder it. So when I say badly snapped, this is the little piece. You can see finger with reference, it's tiny. Little piece that sits in the holder, and it makes contact with the back end of the plug, just here. And as you can see, it's got a little tiny tail of wire coming out of the back of it, and I think that's where it's snapped again. You know, this is 43-year-old wire. You can see the solder on here that I'd made. So I'm going to need to probably more braze than solder this. The issue you've got is that this needs to be a diameter less than that, because that just pulls through the back of the plug there. In fact, that's the part of the plug where this sits in, like this-ish. Sort of sits in like that, spring-loaded. So yeah, I'm going to set this up in the vise and have another hot go. We'll see how we go. Okay, I think may have had success with that. So I splayed the wire out, sort of like a rosebud, if you like, and put the connecting end in the end of that, then twisted it around, hit it with some heat and then some solder, and that looks it's pretty solid. The only issue I'm going to have is that that's going to be very tight in the socket, so I'm going to probably open the socket hole out just a little bit to fit that in. Okay, what can I say? It's job's off. Those of you may be wondering, why would even bother so hard with one of these little cheapies? Well, the reason is that they're not that easy to come by in terms of time. I have ordered 2 more. They're bloody expensive. What did I pay? About 25 bucks. I'm going to head back down to the club, see if I can find another one on Wednesday. So I will hold this video over pending that. Yeah, what happened was when I held it in the vise to stop this insulator from spinning as I opened the hole up a little bit. It actually slightly deformed it, and as a result this won't plunge down anymore, so it's knackered. Yep, so the saga continues. He doesn't like a good saga, so yeah, continue on Wednesday. Okay, pleasant surprise. Went down to the clubhouse this morning to the spare parts shed, and yes, they did have one, and they had the ideal one, which is has a screw-in terminal on the back, so no messy connections, solder, etc. So I'm just going to get a new wire for that. As per the last one, I put the wire in there and put some heat shrink over the outside of it, so it's well insulated. So I'll go and do that, and then we'll put this gauge back in, and that will complete the job. Alright, so there we are. Have proper gauge illumination now, which is brilliant. Well worth the wait. So that one took a good couple of weeks. Alright, so that's it for this video. Be sure to catch the next one. I think I'm going to get this Model T diff and drive torque tube finished up. There's a couple of shows coming up in September, so I want to be all ready for that, so that'll be the next one. Thanks again.